Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co, and this is News and Week in Review, where we're going to dive into a bunch of small news segments, a few games, the videos I've played, the videos I've had last week, all of those things. But first, we're going to start with giveaway winners. Over on a recent video of One Sharp Joe little component holders, I said there's going to be a giveaway, and I didn't do the best job of announcing exactly what the giveaway details were going to be, like when the drawing was going to be, exact terms. Usually I put something in the description. I forgot to. I just talked about it in the video. But we're going to go ahead. That was at least over a week ago, so we're going to go ahead and talk about the giveaway winners. And to that end, there were 163 people who entered the giveaway, 163, and 6 winners, which is not bad. That's like a 1 in 25-ish, something like that. 1 in 25-ish chance in winning. But either way, we're going to go through the giveaway winners, and the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to announce the giveaway winners, and then I'm going to have you select, well, let's start with the giveaway winners and go from there. Before I do, regular reminder that do not respond to any comments that said you won. Any comments down below that are like, hey, message us on Telegram and pay us money so you can get your prize. Don't do that. All giveaway winner stuff is done through email, through alex@boardgameco.com. If some random person is asking you for money via WhatsApp or Telegram, it's not me. I'm telling you, it's not me. If I ask you for money, it's going to be through email, and it's only because you're an international buyer to partially cover shipping, and that's the only situation there'll be. But with that, let's go ahead and show you. Let's talk about the winners first, then go through how you can claim your prize. We have Casey Keller, we have The Curious Gamer, we have Phalanx06, Srebme2, Lindsay Redding, and Fifth Ring. Once again, Casey Keller, The Curious Gamer, Phalanx06, Srebme2, Lindsay Redding, and Fifth Ring. I recognize like 2 of those names, so yeah, enjoy. Good luck. As far as how you get your thing, I'm going to show you these, and I'm going to order them numbers 1 through 6. When you tell me through email, when you message me, alex@boardgameco.com, give me your preferred order. Like, I'd rather 5, then 3, then 2, then 1. And if you do that, I'll try to accommodate based on first come, first serve, and preferred order. If you just say, hey, here's my address, then you'll get whatever there is with no preferred order. But with that, the first one we have is this plain white one, whatever wood material it is, because I don't know. We have this one, which I think is tiger wood, I think. This one of these is purple heart or something, but this one's the slightly more reddish version, and this one's the slightly more purple version. So again, this is 1, 2, 3, 4 in terms of numbers. We have the plain brown one over here, whatever, I don't know wood types, I'm sorry. This is number 5 over here, and then lastly we have number 6, this slightly more tan or beige one. So once again, the most tan over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just message me your preferred order by number, and we'll try to get you out one of these. And with that, let's go ahead and dive into the week in review, although I will say, this is unfortunately the second time I'm filming this. Last night I had something that is always a fear with what I do, but it's a worse of a fear if you don't have any protection set up. But basically, I deleted like every single video I have last night. Somehow. Still not sure how. And yes, it bypassed the recycle bin. The files are too large, it bypassed the recycle bin. I don't know how or what happened. All I know is all my videos forever are gone, which sort of, with a caveat. So here's the deal. First of all, I only keep videos that haven't gone up yet, because if I kept videos that had gone up yet, I don't have enough file space for that kind of stuff. Secondly is, the videos I have that haven't gone up yet are usually around 65 videos or so, which sounds much worse than the problem is. The problem's not great, but it's not that bad. And that's because usually what I do is I film a video, and then I process and edit it, and I load it to YouTube. I still keep the file just in case. The just in case is for a variety of reasons. Sometimes, you know, maybe I want to add something after the fact, I want to add a note or a small edit, or sometimes as I'm timestamping something, like this will happen. Sometimes as things are being timestamped, it'll be like, hey, apparently, you know, I actually had a random thing in there that I need to, like, cut out or something. Like, that will happen as you're going through videos. And then lastly, sometimes if a video goes up early by mistake, just for technical reasons, you kind of want to re-upload the video, and if you download from YouTube first, then you get worse quality. So like 55 of those videos or so are there, like 55 of the 65 deleted videos are there just because, you know, you're trying to be extra safe and precautious, but I delete them as they eventually go live. But the other 10 or so, those unfortunately I think is 9 videos. The other 9 videos are unfortunately videos that I did not edit yet, which means they don't live in the cloud, they don't exist anywhere, they are currently completely and totally gone, which is not the most fun feeling. Refilming videos is a twofold problem. The first, and this, by the way, this video is being refilmed. I already filmed the week in review, which is why I don't have my tablet here. I'm going to go through the week in review, but it's going to be slightly faster and not all the areas, because the problem with refilming a video, the first is time. Literally time. You know, just 10 videos is somewhere around, you know, 20 minutes of video to 30 minutes of video. It's somewhere in the range of around 3 hours of just literal filming time. That's what it is. And that's not including setup and tear down for when I'm doing a review. So I lost probably somewhere around of literally 4 hours of just direct work, which is not the craziest. It's not the worst. It is not great, but people have done far worse. I've done far worse. I used to program. I used to code. I've lost far worse than 4 hours of work. But then secondly is the part that's always harder is trying to hit the same notes. If you're filming a review, trying to have the same level of enthusiasm, of excitement, of just whatever it is that you're going through as you go through it. And you kind of have to. It's not like easy to, if you just pop on camera and you're like, hey, by the way, I'm refilming this video and I'm just not going to give it the full energy because I already did it and it's just a little sad, so I'm just going to rush through this. It's not a good viewing experience. Suck that up and move on. It is what it is. It sucks, don't get me wrong. But you got to move on. You have to get over it. So you have to maintain that same level of enthusiasm and presentation as if nobody knows which videos were being refilmed or not. This one you'll know because that's what I'm telling you, because it's a conversation. But the other ones you ideally should never know that I refilmed them. And then the worst part is one of them is lost forever. Well, two of them sort of almost, which is from the ones that I lost. There was the week in review. This video hadn't edited it yet. I filmed it, did not edit. I lost about 7 or so reviews. Those I can redo. They're not, again, you got to kind of keep the same energy, same presentation, all those, and now people are going to be watching every review, second guessing, being like, that one's not as good. It's probably the wrong one, honestly, because probably these ones are going to be specifically more on top of my game and more sure to present properly that you probably wouldn't notice. But the two that I'm particularly sad about are, one was a topical video that I don't have the notes for. I don't have the notes. I don't remember what it was. I filmed it like a month ago, and I just haven't posted it yet. But it was a video about how I'll tell you. It's a video about how I don't learn, the nature of not learning, the nature of the fact that I'm too into board games that sometimes I make mistakes about just based on my enthusiasm. Sometimes I back something because I'm like so enthusiastic and I forget that sometimes, you know, not every game needs to be backed. Sometimes I get a game back because I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to try it again. I don't know why I got rid of it. And then I get it back and I'm like, nope, that's okay. I mean, there's a degree of enthusiasm around the hobby that sometimes impairs my decision-making skills along the way. And it was meant to be a conversation for me and for those who go through the same journey. I'll probably refilm that at some point, but I don't remember. Like, I remember I liked the video. I don't know what happened to it. And that was tricky, by the way, because that one was filmed a while ago, which means it actually was edited, but somehow or another it didn't make its way to YouTube, which does happen sometimes. Sometimes I edit the video and then it never gets loaded. That's the exception, but it did happen. I had to go through all my videos and check everything. I had to like cross-check everything. Do I have this? Do I have this? Do I have this? Making sure I have no sudden surprises. But either way, that was that. And then the last video, the one that I'm saddest about, is Devin, Meg, and myself started filming 10 games to play on a plane. We started that film. We started it. We got through the first 8. And we never finished the last 2, which is why I didn't have it loaded yet. I didn't have it finished. I was like, you know, we'll do it the next flight. We'll finish the last 2. That one's gone. So filming 10 games to play on a plane is gone. And yes, we will at some point try to redo that one. But it's going to be a while. It's going to have to wait till, like, the next long flight. Either way, that's my day. That's been my day. So, we're refilming this video. Let's go ahead and dive into it, starting off with the News and Week in Review. News and Week in Review is as follows. In this part, I'm not showing. This is the part where the low enthusiasm and the fact that it's, like, last minute. On the plus side, I have to talk about Gloomhaven 2. That's the plus side. So, let's talk about Gloomhaven 2. Gloomhaven 2, from Stuff Affair, is going to be coming out. Gloomhaven 2, sort of. A reprint of Gloomhaven with adjustments and added things and tweaked classes. They're basically saying, hey, you know what? This is a very popular game and it sells a lot. Why don't we make it even better for the next batch of people who buy it? And that's a reasonable thing to do, in my opinion. There's going to be 2 camps of people at all times. Oh my gosh, I just forgot something. You know what? I'm going to be right back. Sorry, that was me realizing I had actually filmed a short for the channel about Gloomhaven getting a second edition and forgot to post it this morning. I've been a little overwhelmed. But anyways, Gloomhaven's getting a second edition for they're going to be tweaking, adjusting, reprinting, adding a map, all these different things that they're doing to the game. And in general, there's going to be 2 camps of people on this. There's going to be the camp people that are like, why? Why does this exist? Why do we need it? And some of that camp is because they want it, but they know they can't justify it, so they're a little frustrated. And the second camp of people is going to be like, hey, it exists. Either I am a target customer myself because I haven't ever bought Gloomhaven, or I'm not a target customer, but hey, why not? It makes sense. Because for me, I'm in the second camp. I kind of course, want to get my hands on it. Anything new and shiny, I want to get my hands on, even though I just got rid of Gloomhaven. But the flip side of that conversation is the fact that I'm not going to get my hands on it, at least not now. I don't think so. If they send me a copy, I'll figure it out, because I don't know. I mean, there's a chance I'll play through Gloomhaven again, but, like, I don't know when it's going to happen. It's not going to be happening soon. But what I will say is that I do believe that there are lots of people buying this Gloomhaven game. It's very popular, seemingly. And to that end, why not make a revised reprinting version of it? Why not? Like, why? I think it just makes sense to do so. So if we're gonna get a Zombicide every other year or every year, I think it makes sense to have a Gloomhaven second edition tweaked and adjusted for the players who are going to be diving into it and finding this hobby for the first time. And I feel like, but they have Frosthaven for that. Sure, but now they can have Gloomhaven 2, which is a popular game and still sells. So yeah, I'm on the camp that Gloomhaven makes sense to have a second edition. Then from there we have Metal Gear Solid from CMON. This is from last week. They officially announced it. It is indeed Metal Gear Solid. All of you that saw the crate you're completely right. It's Metal Gear Solid from CMON. Although they are experimenting with pre-orders here instead of Kickstarter campaigns, which means that we're going to see it's going to be interesting to see what CMON is or isn't doing. They've experimented with pre-orders before, and I'm curious to see if they continue to do so. We have a bunch of games. I'm just going to give you a bunch of titles. I had them before. Again, I have them on my tablet, but not right now. We have Neotopia. We have Challengers 2, House of Cats. We have Hey, That's My Fish, Rahuha. We have Jin. Those are going to be a bunch of games that are coming out that I'll try to throw links down. I'll have links down below to every one of these. But those are games from Porta. They're games from other companies that I can't remember. Porta, Amiibo Games, Pegasus Spill. I don't remember all of them, but a bunch of these games that all looked cool. That's what they have. They just look cool. We have Z-Man games for Challengers 2. Challengers 2 getting a second edition of it. We have Ticket to Ride Legacy. That was officially confirmed and announced. I'm very excited for that one. That is one that I'll definitely be getting my hands on at some point to play in some way. Hey, That's My Fish in particular, by the way, from Plan B Games. That was a game that I loved for a long time. To a certain extent, it's been mostly replaced by currently Ragnarok is the game in my collection that gives me that feeling. But I think I want to pick up Hey, That's My Fish again, especially with the tile tray that they seem to have in that version. That I think will make the game much more accessible. Then we have Hamlet by the Lake. Hamlet's getting an expansion. Hamlet by the Lake going up on Kickstarter at some point soon. I'll throw a link to that down below as well in case you are one of the many people who bought Hamlet. There's an expansion coming for it. And then lastly, Codenames Online. Codenames Online, there's a great article on BoardGameGeek about Codenames Online. Highly recommend checking it out for a good read. But Codenames Online, it's about how Codenames got so popular over the course of the pandemic and how Codenames has continued. Codenames is always popular, but has gotten even more popular over the past 2 years, and it's a great article. I think it's worth a read. It's on BoardGameGeek. I'll link to that down below. And that, as far as the topic of the week, I'm going to skip the topic of the week this week. That's where I'll save it for next week. Again, I just need like a few days to mentally re-say all the things that I already said. So I'm going to push the topic of the week off to next week. As far as the games I've played, what I've played, we have a few things to go over. First of all, we have Madara. I finally had a chance to dive into Madara. Madara is a game that I've been wanting to play for a while. A successful geek who's a member of our Discord, a Patreon, someone who's been around for quite some time. Thanks, Adam. But he basically taught myself and Meg Madara. It's something that we might be continuing to play after Gloomhaven. When we're done over on Camp Co-op, we play through campaign games, and we do a variety of them at different points. So we've done Roleplay Adventures, we finished that. We've played Hoplomachus, we've played other games. Why can't I remember? Final Girl. We played a bunch of games. I don't remember them all right now, but one of the games we've played through is the main game we played through is Gloomhaven. And now that we're getting close to finishing it, we need another game to dive into as our main game. And Madara may take that spot. We're not sure yet. We're still experimenting, but I enjoyed the game. I need to play it more past the initial level because the initial level is basically easy mode. I want to try it more with an actual difficulty behind it, but I enjoy the general process of the gameplay. Lots of dice rolling, taking down monsters. It's a large, epic, big box adventure. I don't yet have a great feel for how it stands out as being, this is an amazing game you should play, but for right now, I enjoyed the intro level and want to dive into it further. We have Illiterati. Illiterati is a game from Gap Closer Games that I enjoyed covering the prototype last year, and the final copy arrived like 3-4 weeks ago, and I had a chance to dive into it the other day, and I really enjoyed it again. It's a good game. It's a word-based game that between this and Paperback Adventures, I think my word games are covered, but it's a solo or cooperative wordplay game with real-time elements as you try to construct words that have certain categories to them and certain requirements of the letters and things like that, and you're trying to do that racing against the clock and against the various enemies who are hitting your letter pool. It works very well. It plays well solo, plays well multiplayer. I just think it's a fun, good word game. Very enjoyable to go through, and significantly shorter than Paperback Adventures. I love Paperback Adventures, but it is a longer game to go through. It does have the capacity to save, but it's not something I always want to do. But that's as far as that. Then we have Zombie Kids Evolution. I finally played through and finished Zombie Kids Evolution. It's a game I played a long time ago with my kids, and we got to 2/3 of the way through the game and just never finished it. So this past week we rattled through the last 10 games, primarily because my daughter's a completionist, and I was like, let's play Zombie Teens Evolution. And she's like, we never finished Zombie Kids. So we finished Zombie Kids. We played through 10 games over the course of 2 days, knocked it out. I enjoy Zombie Kids Evolution. It's a good legacy game that is accessible, easy to dive into, very, very low key as far as just what it takes out of you. Games run you like 5 to 10 minutes. It is a little repetitive when you play 30 games of it. That's the only problem I have with it. So I'm hoping Zombie Teens gets a little less repetitive and paces itself out a little faster. I think 30 games of a game that weight class is a little too much for me, but it has been a good opportunity to spend 30 games playing with my kids, and that's always a fun time. The best part is my youngest didn't play the first 20 with us because he was too young at the time to understand the game sequencing. It's simple, but he was too young. Versus now he got a chance to play the last 10, so that was fun. I enjoyed that part. And that's what we have for the games I played, which means it's time for the week in review. The week in review, the videos I had this past week, starting off this past Saturday with Dungeons, Dice, and Danger. I enjoyed that one. I like it. For me, though, once it's a 3.5 while you're playing through and trying to expand upon the sheets, but once you're done with it, it's basically a 3 out of 5. Once I've played through the various different journeys, it's a 3 out of 5. It's simple, it's to the point, I enjoy it, but it's one that it's simple, it's to the point, and I enjoy it, and that's it. I don't feel the need to dive back into it. Later on Saturday, we had a first impressions for Into the Godsgrave. Into the Godsgrave from Lucky Duck Games. I like that one a decent amount. I enjoyed it. That sounds too low key. I really enjoyed my first play of Into the Godsgrave. Technically 2 plays, or play and a half technically, but they only had 1 scenario, so that's all I had. But I enjoyed playing through that one. I thought it was. It held my interest. It reminded me of games like Roleplay Adventures, like Destiny's, that kind of genre. People have compared it to Lord of the Rings, Journeys of Middle-earth, which I don't think is unfair at all. But for me, I think that I need to dive into the final game to see how it holds up. I have noticed that app-based games, they can burn through me a little faster because I don't love the app-based game to begin with. And so that is a factor there. But we'll see. For right now, Into the Godsgrave, very much enjoy it, very much recommend it, and excited for it. I don't know if it's a game I would ever replay. So for me personally, I think there is replayability, but I would almost certainly not replay it because I think that you'd lose a lot of the sense of exploration, and that's part of the fun for me. Then on Sunday we had the State of Crowdfunding. This is a video just talking about the nature of crowdfunding, you know, campaigns, companies companies shutting down, campaigns not delivering, all that fun stuff, and just talking about whether you should or shouldn't back games. And obviously take into account the usual. I am the CMO of GameFound. Take that into account. But in the video, the overall conclusion I had was, hey, if you can save money, if you're on the fence, don't back stuff. By all means, try to look for opportunities not to back. I am always a fan of that. I also think crowdfunding, just based on pure stats, the risk percentage is low. Yes, we've had a few close downs. Yes, we've had a few companies shut down. And yes, we will have more. But the risk seems to be closer to the 1 to 2% level and nothing crazy past that, which means it is a risk. But it's not like, oh my gosh, stop backing everything. But if you're backing one game, you might be hit with that one game as the game that closes underneath you. So there's a factor there. And that's why, for me, you should only back games on crowdfunding if there's a good reason to back them. And the reason could be supporting the creator. It's usually not my reason. Sometimes it is, but very rarely. For me, it's usually about, hey, is there something here that I'm getting that's worth it? Is it a harder to hunt down game? Does it have expansions and upgrades that I won't be able to find? Is the price point good enough? All those are factors as to why I'll take that risk. Otherwise, wait till retail. Most good games will show up in retail. Most, not necessarily everything. And those few you can hunt down the secondary market and you're fine. Then from there that was Sundays. We have Monday. Monday was 2 back and out to back, going over the various crowdfunding campaigns for the week. Tuesday was Conquest Princess Fashion is Power First Impressions. Not First Impressions, review. I don't know why I call it First Impressions, a review. But Conquest Princess Fashion is Power, it's a great game. I really enjoy that one. Highly recommend you check that one out. That's from Seppi Yoon, Fight in a Box Games, over on GameFound. It is a very, very good game. I cannot, speaking of times where you want to back a game just to support the creator, that's one of those times. This is an excellent game. Price point is not cheap on it. It's $75. And many other times I would be sitting here saying, but you know what, but this, but that, you can get that. And it's true, you can get the loop. The loop is the most equitable game I have to the feeling I get from Conquest Princess is the loop, which will run you significantly cheaper. That's the nature of being a smaller creator versus a larger established, company, all that stuff. But I just happen to really like the game and think that it's a cool game and it's an awesome game, so I'm going to talk about it. But yes, I will also be transparent that same logic applies to some of the other things I say, which is you could get games like The Loop, which I do recommend. But it gives me that same feeling of games like The Loop, of games like Unsettled. It gives me that puzzly, working it out feeling. Plays well solo and cooperative. Really enjoyed Conquest Princess Fashion is Power. Then later on Tuesday, we had a review for Ninth Circle. I enjoyed that one. That is one, to me, it's similar to City of Spies, which I prefer, but I enjoyed it. It's a little chaotic. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. Oh, and Conquest Princess was a 4, but it's a 4 with the caveat, I think it would be a 4.5 if once we get to the final game production, just because of the fact that what I had was very, very prototypey, and that does affect my enjoyment of a game. I wish I could say I look past that stuff, but I'm not. I'm shallow. I like pretty stuff, and it affects how, I've talked about this before, a good game that has components or art that doesn't pull me in quite as much is a factor in my enjoyment. And for me, the art had its own aesthetic and that I like. For me, it was more the components, which is super, super prototypey. I need to see a final game, and we'll bump up a score then if we need to. Then lastly on Tuesday we had Assassin's Creed Apocalypse. This is more Assassin's Creed. I enjoy Assassin's Creed a lot, and Assassin's Creed Apocalypse is basically the same, but the few tweaks they have for the most part were improvements, particularly the replacement of the headquarters phase with the map phase. Much better. So that's a strong improvement. The others are kind of minimal, not any major impacts for me. On Wednesday, we started off Wednesday with Apex Legends review. I enjoy Apex Legends. It's very similar to 6 Siege in the feeling I got out of it, but very different in the many difference of executions, the difference of the execution. Lots of powers and abilities. Really enjoyed the overall, like just throwing down powers and abilities was a lot of fun. Learning the characters and navigating around that, a lot of fun. The back and forth just shooting, that part was a little bit more tedious, which is a big part of the game, but overall it felt very tactical and very well done, and I really enjoyed it. I gave it a 4 out of 5. Later on Wednesday, we had our weekly live, where this is the usual weekly live with Devin, myself, and Meg, and it was going through, you know, our usual game of the week, talking about, the topic of the week was talking about crowdfunding, talking about conventions and stuff, convention season opening up, whether they're worth it, not worth it, how to save money, random tips, things like that, and then lastly, talking about, but having our usual weekly game show, which is a lot of fun in my opinion. I enjoy our game shows a lot, but you can check them out to see if they're for you or not. They're chaotic. The weekly lives are chaotic. It is what it is. And then lastly, on Wednesday, we had a Master of the Universe unboxing with my kids. Special guests, my kids, jumping in for the Master of the Universe unboxing. This is Fields of Eternia from Arcan Games. This is one where I did an exchange with a Patreon, where I basically reached out to a Patreon. It's like, hey, well, actually, he reached out to me, but he's like, I'll back this one, you back that one, and we'll ship it to each other. Shipping is expensive on that one, because they didn't ship it to the US, in case you didn't know, they did not ship it to the US. Shipping is expensive to get your hands on that one. I hope I enjoy the game. I already started the rulebook. We'll see what happens. That brings us to Thursday. Thursday was upcoming campaigns for June. June is a busy month. I've been fairly good at backing fewer and fewer games. I've been backing so few games. And granted, with the caveat that I do know that there are times I'll get a game from a publisher, even if I don't back it. But yeah, I mean, but I'm grateful for that and I appreciate it. And it does make it a little easier to not back things, knowing I have a stream of games coming in. But in general, I've been just trying to save money and back fewer stuff when I don't need to back them. I am in love with the board game hobby, which means I back things I shouldn't. It means I get things I shouldn't. It means I get too many games. My eyes are bigger than my stomach. And I've been trying to cut down a bit. But June's going to be hard because June has a lot of games that are going to be tempting my control. I've been really good. I almost backed Dead Cells. I backed Dead Cells and I canceled my pledge for Dead Cells because I was like, I don't know why I'm doing this. I want the game. Lord knows I do. But like, I have so many games coming in. I don't need to pay $100 for a game. I can pick it up at retail. The reality is, most games you don't need. Most games I get and they leave my collection. Only a small percentage, maybe 5%, 10% of the games I play actually stick around. And even sticking around doesn't mean forever. It just means for however long. It could be a long time. Like every year there's a few games that enter my forever collection, but forever just means, 2 to 10 years. 2 to 10 years. That was Thursday, which moves to Friday. Friday, we had the best 10 games to play on BoardGameArena. This is a video done together with Meg, just talking about our best 10 games to play on BoardGameArena in our opinion. You can go back and forth. There's some crossover, but there's a good chunk of games for you to see and experience and get a feel for whether they are right for you. I highly recommend BoardGameArena. I think it's a great way to get more games played, to try things you might be on the fence about. I think it's just a great platform, with the caveat that playing something online is not the same thing as playing in person, and there's pros and cons. Sometimes it's better. Sometimes, but sometimes it's worse too, and so you have to take that into account. But it can be a lot of fun, especially when playing with friends. Which brings us to today. Today we have a few things. We have a review for Chromamix going up. That is a GameFound review. That's one. Well, this should be clear, so let me clarify that. That is a review from me, from the creator asking me for a review, but yes, I work for GameFound and the game is on GameFound. But when I say GameFound review, GameFound does not cover, sponsor, any of those things at all, but just take that into account as you go through it. I say that because I've decided with the whole transparency thing around, with all the issues going on recently, I decided to start specifically announcing in GameFound reviews, and again, I start specifically announcing when I review a product that is on GameFound at all. I just want to give that disclaimer as well, and this one was filmed before that, so I don't have disclaimer in the video. So, and yeah, again, I personally, on a personal level, I don't think a game being on GameFound affects me at all. I don't think it does. Bias is obviously a factor, always, but I just don't think it does. And again, looking at past reviews and coverage of games that have been on the platform, you can see that I'm more than willing to say a game is not for me when it's on the platform. But at the same time, for the sake of the viewer, for the sake of transparency, I'm going to be trying to add that into my GameFound reviews, although some of them have already been filmed, and those may not have them. But that is as far as that goes. And then next up on Saturday, today we have the prototype unboxing for Stalker the board game. This one I definitely announced that I'm associated with GameFound because it's an Awakened Realms product. It's a whole different conversation. Those I always try to announce ever since I took the job at GameFound. And that's everything we have. And coming up next week, we have a few things. We have a campaign game showdown talking about Ice. I think this is going up tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. But Icefaring Guard, Massive Darkness, Oathsworn, Frosthaven, and Tenaris Adventures. Those 5 games, just talking about which ones are, what the pros and cons of each one, which one's right for you and why, and what my personal ranking of them is. Just to be very clear, I love them all. I'm keeping them all. I think they're all amazing, but I still have preferences within that. And then later this week, we'll have a Marvel Zombies gameplay. I'm slowly going through as much as I can in Marvel Zombies. I like Undead or Alive. I like Marvel Zombies. I want to play through the games and have a good time, and so I'm going to do so. And that is everything we have for the week in review, which brings us to the games on the table. Chronicles of Abel is a game I want to dive into this week. I plan on diving into this week. This one's supposed to be a kind of like a mix between Mage Knight, but more family friendly, which just intrigues me and captures my attention, so I want to try this one out. We have Midhala, which is a large epic adventure that I totally want to dive into this one. This is going to be a preview coverage. We have, well, review coverage. We have Fabled the Spirit Lands. When I say review coverage, it's an upcoming Kickstarter, but review. We have Fabled the Spirit Lands from Crowd D Games. This one I don't know enough about, but the art looks cool, the game looks intriguing, and it seems like it would be easy to pick up and play, so I want to do so. And then finally, Expeditions, which I really want to table because I love Expeditions from the plays I've had of it so far. I love it, and I want to dive into it more. I will at some point have a review, but I guess my opinion is, I talked about the game already, so you already know to some extent that this is my opinion of the game. And that is the Week in Review. Thanks so much for being here. I appreciate all of you. And as always, I hope you have a good one.